COVID-19 strikes very quickly. In fact, people could be talking to you at one moment, require oxygen the next day, and the third day, they would have a tube shoved down the throat.
1 year in, and COVID-19 continues its onslaught throughout the world. With over 100,000 daily infections, what worries doctors most is when the virus gives its victim more than just a flu.
COVID-19 is nothing like influenza. In fact, it kills and maims like no other virus which we know of. We end up with patients with pneumonia who takes a long time to recover, and they don't go back to what they were. In fact, the older people, after recovering from pneumonia, at least another 30 to 50% may pass on as a consequence of the pneumonia.
Causing over 1 million hospitalizations yearly, pneumonia is the result of bacterial and viral infection in the lungs. And though its symptoms vary from a simple cough to severe chest pains, pneumonia is deadly and has caused over 50,000 deaths each year.
So when the lungs become infected by the virus, the body tries to fight it off. And how the body tries to fight it off is by expelling the virus from itself. And the byproduct of this inflammation is that it actually damages the lungs. It causes fluid to enter the small air sacs of the lungs. And when these small air sacs fill up, oxygen can't enter the lungs, and carbon dioxide cannot be expelled. The lung becomes hard and it cannot continue its function of taking in oxygen and expelling carbon dioxide.
As a respiratory virus, SARS-CoV-2 begins infecting people right from the nasal passage, and as it travels downward, the virus replicates, stealthily taking over the respiratory system's healthy cells and forcing the body into a, sometimes excessive, inflammation response.
We do know that something called a cytokine storm is generated in response to virus-infected cells, which causes liquids to flood into the lungs and give a pneumonia, which is extremely dangerous. And it's this sort of what we call an autoimmune style response, which causes the most serious disease.
The best analogy will be think of the Avengers, Incredible Hulk trying to kill Loki. It takes up Loki, bashes through left, right, and obviously Loki is out. He is flat out. He's not to cause any trouble, but the bashing goes on, to the extent that the whole house will rumble, crumble, and might just crumble down, killing the host at the same time.
And when the patient can't breathe on his own anymore, doctors have no choice but to intubate.
So firstly, intubation is something that we do when a patient's lungs stop working and they are unable to breathe on their own. So firstly, we put the patient to sleep because the process is rather uncomfortable. Subsequently, we give a drug to completely paralyze the patient so that the patient is relaxed and we can easily slide the tube in.
And this was hooked up to a ventilator. This would help me breathe. And it was such an alien feeling being attached to a ventilator. The way that I would describe it is, even if I did not breathe consciously, it would push oxygen down my throat, down to my lungs.
And this makes COVID-19 different from influenza, as the chances of you getting this sick from the flu is extremely low.
And true enough, COVID-19 behaves like a flu, but in no way it is like flu. We have a mortality rate of hitting 2% or even higher in other countries where the healthcare facility is poorer. We do have people who develop weird multi-system inflammatory disorder, weird fever, lymph node swelling, the whole body burns up. Many people can't go back to work, they can't go back to a normal life. Their quality of life falls as they knew it. If you take that all into consideration, the burden, the cost, how much it injures the society is way beyond that of influenza.